my name is Rebecca and I am going to be sharing with you everything that I'm going to be spending in February as a mum of 6 who's self-employed living on the outskirts of London. And I'm so excited to film this video today because I am obsessed with what other people are spending and budgeting and little ways to be more intentional with my money. But whenever I've watched these videos, there doesn't seem to be anybody who spends as much money as I do on all of my expenses and outgoings. So hopefully you might find this quite interesting because we are a large family, but also because we live on the outskirts of London, my minimum outgoings are actually quite high. And when I look back and think of, my corporate days, the kind of money that I have to make now because I'm self-employed to cover these outgoings is mind-blowing compared to what I used to earn in corporate. So hopefully if you are super nosy like me, you will find this interesting. I've got my coffee. I am so excited. I just had my 6th baby 3 weeks ago, so I'm hoping that she's going to be nice and quiet while I get through this. But for me, when I do my money date, so every month I basically do a money date where I get really intimate with all of my outgoings, any of my debts, and also what I am then spending out. I use that time to get really intentional, to have a look at all of my subscriptions, my outgoings, and just check that everything on there really makes sense and still feels good. So I'm hoping to have like a little visual graphic that I'll add up for you. I'll add to the video after. Bear with me. But this is basically my outgoings for the month. So what I've done is put them in categories. So you'll see when I show you the spreadsheet, basically I have all of my fixed costs. So these are the ones that I can't change, that it is what it is. Because equally another reason why I want to record these videos and really hold myself accountable to my outgoings, my spending, is because I want to create better habits. I want to pay off debts this year. I want to essentially hit my big money goals, and more money doesn't always equal more money. That's the thing. You can have more money coming into your bank account, but if you aren't really intentional with where it's going, then you can end up spending it just as quick. So I think this whole process for me is really about just keeping myself really intentional around what I want to create, what I want to spend, the experiences that I want for me and the kids, and just living life more on purpose. So let me know if you're the same. So diving straight in, my fixed costs and the costs that are associated with just the house specifically are, and one thing, just sorry, as a side note, if you are self-employed like me, it can be really difficult when you see these like budget videos and people are like, right, I've got this much money and then this is how I'm going to split it. To me, it's just basic maths, and there isn't a lot of thinking necessarily that needs to go into that, because you've got an amount and it's like, just don't spend more than you have. But when you are self-employed, it's really difficult to manage cash flow, to ensure that you don't get into debt, which is something that happened to me last year because I had a lot of outgoings. So I just want to kind of talk about that super quick because there are debt payments on here and some people might find that surprising. So obviously I talk about money a lot, but I'm a small business owner like anybody else, and I was super sick for 9 months of the year last year because I was pregnant, and it started in my first trimester with excessive sickness and paralysis, so I was actually hospitalized and paralyzed for some of the first trimester of my pregnancy. Then I had some really big events that I'd already committed to, so I hosted like a luxury retreat in California. I did a large scale event in November and some other smaller events in between. A lot of those events require a lot of money up front. So that's money that I had to find. Then towards the end of my pregnancy, again, I developed diabetes. I was really sick, had to have weekly iron infusions. And really for the last 3 months of my pregnancy, before I then had the baby and went off on Christmas, I wasn't earning any money because I didn't have I had money because obviously I have built up a client base. That means that I have reoccurring revenue that comes in every month because those clients work with me on a longer term container, like 12 months. So I had that money coming in, but equally, even some of those contracts, I've had like 3 clients drop out of contracts during that time because I was unwell. even when I was being induced, I had clients that cancelled their contracts, which left me losing thousands a month in recurring revenue that I thought was coming in. So yes, I have some debts, because, and for me, there's no guilt or shame around that. So you can, as long as you are managing the debt and the debt is not managing you, I don't think that that is a problem. It's just choosing to pay things off over time and to have the flexibility of cash flow, which I think is important when you're a small business owner. It is what it is. Like, I don't have any shame around that, but that's the thing. So obviously, as a small business owner, self-employed, sole income earner for my family, it can get quite tricky. So I just wanted to kind of let you know with that. So my first fixed payment is the rent. So I sold my house to buy my first business 10 years ago. I'd had a mortgage since I was 18, always been a homeowner, but it needed a lot of upfront investment. I think it cost me about 60,000 to buy that business, because it was a brick and mortar business. So I had to sell my house to do it. And it was a great investment at the time to do that, because obviously I had that business for 7 years. But now I am renting, and because I live on the outskirts of London, my God, is it expensive. My mortgage used to be about £500 a month. I'm dying. And my rent is now £2,200 a month. And that's just me that pays that. My council tax is 218, my TV license obviously 15, life insurance 25, gas and electric is 180, my water is 55, and my home insurance is 8. So that's just contents insurance, because obviously I don't own the building. So what I would say with that is I have two like big payment dates typically within the month where I've got client contract payments coming in on those days. So that's typically around the 1st and also the 22nd. And I also have some other revenue streams that are paid on that date, those dates too. So I tend to try and get all my direct debits around when I know I'm going to have money, so that I don't have to worry about it. And then what I do on my spreadsheet is I tend to kind of overestimate the cost slightly. And then I'll go back through as I'm kind of ticking off the outgoings throughout the month with the actual amount that I paid to that thing. That helps me keep on track, to make sure none of my subscriptions are kind of creeping up. And then any difference in that money, even if it's just 20 pence, I put that over into like a roundup account, savings account, a sinking fund essentially for my short-term money goals. But the total for those costs are £2,701. So then I have my food shopping for the month. So I average around £100 a week, which is around £500 a month. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. Obviously, I've got 6 children, and I also have 2 of those that are in nappies. So it can be quite expensive. I know for some people that would seem like a lot of money, but actually, I really don't think it is. But I am trying to get more intentional, do meal planning. And the good thing with this is, as I'm going through and recording these sessions and updated sessions, that I will continue to find more efficiencies in my outgoings. So then I've got a whole section for the kids. So I've highlighted anything in yellow means that it's a variable cost. It means that it might go up, might go down, but equally there's some flexibility there potentially to cancel or cut out those outgoings if I really needed to. So if my monthly recurring revenue or more clients dropped off, like I could cut those costs. So I have different savings accounts for the kids. So I've got obviously 5 children currently that I have savings for, because the baby's not yet registered. So I've got they all have like a junior ISA. So £10 a week goes into that. £10 a month goes into that. And obviously all of these as well, when I have the great months, I will increase these amounts, but I've always got a baseline that I'll never go below. So just to make sure that there is still something consistently going into those accounts and all of the things. So £10 a month at the very least, they'll get into their junior savings and ISA. They also have premium bond accounts, so £10 a month goes into there. They also have a shares account. So this is accounts that are in my name. So these are stocks and shares accounts that are in my name, but they have individually chosen the stocks. So this is just a little example where I'm trying to teach them good habits around having economic power and choice. It's not a lot of money, but obviously, they really enjoyed it. So my boys invested in like Tesla, I think one of them's invested in Netflix. My little girl's invested in Disney, and it's just, you know, helping them to feel empowered around money. And then equally they get pocket money. So I use the Go Henry app. They all get different amounts depending on the ages, depending on other things. So my daughter, my middle daughter, for example, she has a phone and I pay for her contract. So she doesn't get as much pocket money as the others because I'm already paying for that. My son has a PlayStation account. I'm paying for that, so he doesn't get as much. But my oldest daughter, obviously, she gets more because she's older. So with the fees for the Go Henry account, it works out about £55. So I've got my daughter's phone contract on there. They are also, oh my God, so high achieving. So, and this, I've actually had to get them to cut down all of their extra activities this year because it's insane how much they cost now. Gone are the days where it's like a few pounds per session. So I've got one that does drama lessons, that's £80 a month. But we're actually cancelling that because she's homeschooled now. So we're going to cancel that. That was something that she did from the school. My son does football lessons. That's £80 a month. My other son is starting karate in February, and that's £24 a month. One of them I'm paying for an Alton Towers trip, which was £180. You can split it over 3 payments. So I'm actually paying £60 a month for that. I've got another one that's going to the Isle of Wight in May. Again, split payments on that, so that's £50 a month. My oldest daughter is also homeschooled, so I homeschool 2 of my kids, and we have a Skillshare subscription, which is a bit like Netflix, but it's all for creatives. So that's £10 a month. And I also have a Disney Plus subscription for my youngest daughter, which is £14.99. So all of the costs that relate to the kids is £532.99. Obviously, things like clothes and family days out, that's different. That's in a separate pot. Then I have my debts and kind of miscellaneous. So I've got 3 credit card payments that I'm currently paying. They work out £190 a month on the minimum payments. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing is looking to obviously get those down over the next few months so that I don't have that expense. My Sky works out around £95 a month, and I've got an iPad included in that, so that's why. This obviously doesn't include any of my business outgoings either. My mobile phone contract is £60 a month, and that also includes my Netflix, so that's why it's a little bit more. And I also have some past debt payments which are relating to like an old business. So this is the thing, like, you know, when you're a business owner, you end up not everything is a win, and sometimes you can pick up debts just from things that didn't work out. So my total debt payments work out £505. Is that right? Does that look right? £505 a month. But that doesn't actually include my car payment, because I've got a whole section on car. But to me, that's also a debt. So with the car payment included, that would be £900 a month just on debts. So definitely an opportunity to get those down. So then with my car, I basically bought a car on finance a few years ago. I have terrible credit from those past business debts, as I mentioned. Which means I didn't get a good deal. So trust me, I'm not rolling around in a brand new anything. It was a second-hand car. And obviously I need a 7-seater because I've got 6 kids. I actually need an 8-seater now. So my car finance payments are very high. So I'm looking to potentially swap those to a new finance provider. So they are currently £550 a month. My car tax, £33. Car insurance is £92. That's taken a massive jump up. For no apparent reason, because I definitely haven't had any accidents or anything. I barely moved my car. Gap insurance is £37 a month, and petrol is around £100. So my total costs for my car are £812 a month. Then I have a savings section, which again, these are just like the minimum that I'll save. And if I have a really great month and I've got more capacity and more clients or more money coming in, then obviously I can put more in, but this is kind of the benchmark. So I've got an emergency savings fund. Obviously that dwindled down last year because I was so poorly and clients cancelled and I had all these big commitments. So I'm trying to rebuild that. I've also got a holiday savings. So these are kind of like sinking funds short-term saving goals and long-term saving goals accounts also. So I've got one that's £100 a month for holidays. Obviously, I'm sure you can appreciate, to take 6 kids on holiday, I typically have to pay for somebody to come with me. So sometimes that will be my sister. So for 8 people to go anywhere on holiday is super expensive. So again, I'm always having to save like something for holidays. Typically I have to pay for like 2 apartments as well, because large family living is a thing. So then I'm also saving for my house deposit, because I would like to get back on the housing ladder as soon as possible. I hate paying all this rent, and not even in a particularly great house, believe it or not. So that's £100 a month. Obviously, if I have more, I will, and as I pay off these debts, I will have more. Then I also have £150 for things like days out with the kids, clothes, anything else that we might need. That probably isn't even enough, because even to go to the cinema or out for dinner for all of us is probably around £100 in itself. And I like to do at least a couple of days out a month. And then also investments. So I have my own shares and investments that I invest into. This is all about paying your future self. It will also go towards the house deposit if I need to, but it's about those long-term savings and investments. And that is £150 a month. So things like my pension contributions and any of those kind of things, they actually come out of my business income. So I don't include that in here. And that is £550 a month that I try to split up between all of those things, which means that my total outgoings every month, my basic is £5,600.99. So obviously for me, when I'm thinking back to corporate days before I bought my own business, I was probably taking home about 2,500-3,000, and I was probably in a better financial position there because I was a homeowner, had my own car, it wasn't on finance, had lots of other savings and investments, and obviously a smaller family. So looking at this now, it literally makes me want to cry how much outgoings that I have. So definitely for this year, I want to reduce that as much as possible, but equally live our life and, you know, make sure that we are enjoying life now, but also for the future too, and not have as much pressure on myself, because it's a lot of pressure to meet those financial obligations every month, when I just had a baby 3 weeks ago, when I was super sick last year, when I don't have anybody else to pay those bills for me. So that is kind of our outgoings. Let me know what you think in the comments, if you think that that's reasonable. Obviously we live in Surrey, so just on the outskirts of London, and like I say, that's actually a bargain for a house price around here. We should be looking at about 3,500 for rented accommodation. But yeah, let me know what you think, and obviously please feel free to keep me accountable to getting those outgoings down. I'm looking forward to where I'll be by the end of the year when I've paid off a few of those debts, and hopefully learn a few things along the way about being more intentional with my money. And don't forget, if you want to join me on my journey and keep me accountable to my goals for this year, to obviously reduce my expenses, to be more intentional with my money, to learn a few hacks about how I can work smarter with some of those outgoings, and also rebuild my savings, pay off my debts, and also put some money towards my house deposit, then please feel free to subscribe and join me on this journey.